Now I come to the next samyutta, 21. Bhikkhu samyutta. Who are monks, monks who are fully ordained. 21.1. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's park. There, the Venerable Mahamoggallana addressed the monks thus: "Friends, monks." "Friend," those monks replied. The Venerable Mahamoggallana said this: "Hear, friends, while I was alone in seclusion, a reflection arose in my mind thus. It is said, 'Noble silence, noble silence.' What now is noble silence?" Then, friends, it occurred to me, here with the subsiding of thought directed and sustained, a monk enters and dwells in the second jhana, which has internal confidence and unification of mind, is without thought directed and sustained, and has rapture and happiness, delight and happiness born of concentration. This is called noble silence. Then, friends, with the subsiding of thought directed and sustained, I entered and dwelt in the second jhana, which has delight and happiness born of concentration. While I dwelt therein, perception and attention, accompanied by thought, assailed me. I stop here for a moment. This sutta refers to the time before the Venerable Mahamoggallana was enlightened. Venerable Moggallana was formerly an ascetic with an external sect, and he and Venerable Sariputta became disciples of the Buddha. And Venerable Mahamoggallana, after becoming a disciple of the Buddha, then he learned meditation, he learned the Dhamma, and he strove so hard that after 7 days he became enlightened. So for him to become enlightened in 7 days, that means he actually didn't sleep, kept on striving. So this is that time. So here he's talking about noble silence. Noble silence means the mind is totally silent. Our normal mind is always chattering. There's always like a conversation in our mind. We're thinking about this, thinking about that. But it's not a dialogue, it's a monologue. We are talking to ourselves. So in the first jhana, you still have this, what is called skillful thoughts. You still have some skillful thoughts. That means thoughts connected to your meditation. For example, when you enter the first jhana, then you think, this is a very nice state. I must remember to retrace my steps. How to come to achieve this again. That type of thought it's not ordinary thoughts. But when a person enters the second jhana, the mind is so strong, the thoughts cannot arise at all. It feels like he has tapped the energy in the world. So this Venerable Mahamoggallana says on that occasion he attained the second jhana. But after entering the second jhana, then perception and attention accompanied by thought assailed me. Then thought started to rise again. Then, friends, the Blessed One came to me by means of psychic power and said this: "Moggallana, Moggallana, do not be negligent regarding noble silence, Brahmin. Steady your mind in noble silence. Unify your mind in noble silence. Concentrate your mind on noble silence." Then, friends, on a later occasion, with the subsiding of thought directed and sustained, I entered and dwelt in the second jhana, which has internal confidence and unification of mind, is without thought directed and sustained, and has delight and happiness born of concentration. If, friends, one speaking rightly could say of anyone, he is a disciple who attained to greatness of direct knowledge with the assistance of the teacher, it is of me that one could rightly say this. It's the end of the sutta. So here, when the Venerable Moggallana, he had difficulty staying in that second jhana, then the Buddha came to him. So because he was very sleepy, so his concentration was not so good because the mind was not so strong yet. Then because he knew that the Buddha was looking at him with psychic power, observing him, so he dare not slack. So he concentrated very hard, used all his energy, and within 7 days he became enlightened. So he says, if anyone can say that he attained to greatness with the assistance of the teacher, it is him. 21.2, at Savatthi. There the Venerable Sariputta addressed the monks thus: "Friends, monks." "Friend," those monks replied. The Venerable Sariputta said, "Hear, friends, When I was alone in seclusion, a reflection arose in my mind thus: is there anything in the world through the change and alteration of which sorrow, lamentation, pain, displeasure and despair might arise in me? Then it occurred to me, there is nothing in the world through the change and alteration of which sorrow, lamentation, pain, displeasure and despair might arise in me. Stop here for a moment. So here he's saying if that he could not find anything in the world or any person where because of impermanence there is change and alteration that it could give him suffering. Normally, if you say like we are attached to our spouse or you're attached to your children and something happens to them, that means change and alteration, either they get sick or they die or what, then you will suffer greatly. But he says he could find nothing that could make him suffer. When this was said, the Venerable Ananda said to the Venerable Sariputta, "Friend Sariputta, even if the teacher himself were to undergo change and alteration, wouldn't sorrow, lamentation, pain, displeasure and despair arise in you?" Let's stop here for a moment. So here Venerable Ananda wanted to test him. He said, because Venerable Ananda knows that there's nobody Venerable Sariputta loves and respects more than the Buddha. So he says, what if something happened to the Buddha? Would you feel any sorrow? And Venerable Sariputta said, "Friend, even if the teacher himself were to undergo change and alteration, still sorrow, lamentation, pain, displeasure and despair would not arise in me. However, it would occur to me, the teacher, so influential, so powerful and mighty, has passed away. If the Blessed One had lived for a long time, that would have been for the welfare and happiness of the multitude, out of compassion for the world, for the good welfare and happiness of devas and humans." And then Venerable Ananda said, "It must be because I-making, mind-making, and the underlying tendency to conceit have been thoroughly uprooted in the Venerable Sariputta for a long time, that even if the teacher himself were to undergo change and alteration, still sorrow, lamentation, pain, displeasure and despair would not arise in him." It's the end of the sutta. So here Venerable Ananda is praising the Venerable Sariputta that he has uprooted that ego, the conceit, to think that I am, I exist, has been uprooted. So that's why he would not feel any sorrow. 21.3. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anatta Pindika's park. Now on that occasion, the Venerable Sariputta and the Venerable Mahamoggallana were dwelling at Rajagaha in a single dwelling in the bamboo grove, the squirrel sanctuary. Then in the evening, the Venerable Sariputta emerged from seclusion and approached the Venerable Mahamoggallana. He exchanged greetings with the Venerable Mahamoggallana, and when they had concluded their greetings and cordial talk, he sat down to one side and said to him, "Friend Moggallana, your faculties are serene, your facial complexion is pure and bright. Has the Venerable Mahamoggallana spent the day in a peaceful dwelling?" And he said, "I spent the day in a gross dwelling, friend, but I did have some Dhamma talk." And Venerable Sariputta asked, "With whom did the Venerable Mahamoggallana have some Dhamma talk?" And Venerable Mahamoggallana said, "I had some Dhamma talk with the Blessed One, friend." And Venerable Sariputta said, "But the Blessed One is far away, friend. He is now dwelling at Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anatta Pindika's park. Did the Venerable Mahamoggallana approach the Blessed One by means of psychic power? Or did the Blessed One approach the Venerable Mahamoggallana by means of psychic power?" And Venerable Mahamoggallana said, I did not approach the Blessed One by means of psychic power, friend, nor did the Blessed One approach me by means of psychic power. Rather, the Blessed One cleared his divine eye and divine ear element to communicate with me, and I cleared my divine eye and divine ear element to communicate with the Blessed One. I stop here for a moment. So here, where Mahamoggallana said he did not fly to the Buddha, and the Buddha did not fly to see him, but because they have the heavenly eye and the heavenly ear, even though so far away they could see each other and they could talk to each other. What kind of Dhamma talk did the Venerable Mahamoggallana have with the Blessed One? And he said, "Here, friend, I said to the Blessed One, Venerable Sir, it is said, one with energy aroused. In what way, Venerable Sir, does one have energy aroused?" The Blessed One then said to me, "Here, Moggallana, a monk with energy aroused dwells thus. Willingly, let only my skin, sinews and bones remain, and let the flesh and blood dry up in my body. But I will not relax my energy so long as I have not attained what can be attained by manly strength, by manly energy, by manly exertion. It is in such a way, Moggallana, that one has aroused energy. Such, friend, is the Dhamma talk that I had with the Blessed One. So here the Buddha says, a monk who is energetic will think, let my body wither away, but I will not relax my energy until I have attained what can be attained by manly exertion. And then Venerable Sariputta said, friend, compared to the Venerable Moggallana, we are like a few grains of gravel compared to the Himalayas, the king of mountains. For the Venerable Moggallana is of such great psychic power and might that if he so wished, he could live on for an aeon. Let's stop here for a moment. So here the Venerable Sariputta says that Venerable Moggallana, his psychic power is so great that if he wanted to, he could live for this aeon, this life cycle, not a world cycle, life cycle. Life cycle means like during the time of the Buddha, the average lifespan was supposed to be 100 years. So he could, if he wanted, live up to 100 years. Let's see what the notes here say. 387 says, it seems it's actually a kappa, but the commentary says ayu kappa, the full human lifespan of 120 years. So here, seems that the sutta says it is a kappa, a world cycle. But I don't think that anybody can live for a world cycle. So it could be that it means that the full life cycle at that time was supposed to be 120 years. 100 years. Then, so Venerable Sariputta praised the Venerable Moggallana. Then Venerable Moggallana said, friend, compared to the Venerable Sariputta, we are like a few grains of salt compared to a barrel of salt. For the Venerable Sariputta has been extolled, lauded and praised in many ways by the Blessed One. As Sariputta is supreme in wisdom, virtue and peace, so a monk who has gone beyond, at best can only equal him. In this manner, both these great Nagas rejoice in what was well stated and well declared by the other. Naga means a great being. So these two chief disciples, they praise each other. Venerable Moggallana, his psychic power is the greatest among all the monk disciples of the Buddha. And Venerable Sariputta, his wisdom is the greatest among all the monks. 21.4. Savatthi. Now on that occasion, a certain newly ordained monk, after returning from the alms round, would enter his dwelling after the meal and pass the time living at ease and keeping silent. He did not render service to the monks at the time of making robes. Then a number of monks approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him, sat down to one side and reported this matter to him. Then the Blessed One addressed a certain monk thus, come monk, tell that monk in my name that the teacher calls him. Yes, noble sir, the monk replied. And he went to the monk and told him, the teacher calls you friend. Let's stop here for a moment. You see, monks, when monks live in a monastery and there's something to be done, generally all the monks should come together and help. That is expected because we live together, we should cooperate and help each other. But if a monk does not come, sometimes the other monks are not happy with him. So like in this case, yes friend, that monk replied. And he approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him and sat down to one side. The Blessed One then said to him, is it true, monk, that after returning from the alms round, you enter your dwelling after the meal and pass the time living at ease and keeping silent, and you do not render service to the monks at the time of making robes? And he said, I am doing my own duty, Venerable Sir. Then the Blessed One, having known with his own mind the reflection the monk's mind, addressed the monks thus, monks, do not find fault with this monk. This monk is one who gains at will, without trouble or difficulty, the 4 jhanas that constitute the higher mind, and provide a pleasant dwelling in this very life. And he is one who, by realizing it for himself with direct knowledge, in this very life enters and dwells in that unsurpassed goal of the holy life, for the sake of which clansmen rightly go forth from the household life into homelessness. This is what the Blessed One said. Having said this, the Fortunate One, the teacher, further said, not by means of slack endeavor, not by means of feeble effort, is this Nibbana to be achieved, release from all suffering. This young monk is a supreme man indeed. He carries about his final body, having conquered Mara and his mount. That's the end of the sutta. So here, the Buddha, after reading the mind of this monk, realized that he was already an arahant. And then the Buddha told the other monks, no need to find fault with him. So, if a monk does not join the others in doing physical work, then he should be at least doing spiritual work. That means he should be practicing hard. So that's the only time a monk has excuse when he's actually meditating very hard, or he's already attained arahanthood. Otherwise, he is expected to join the other monks in work. 21.6 at Savatthi. Then the Venerable Lakuntaka Bhadia approached the Blessed One. The Blessed One saw him coming in the distance and addressed the monks thus, Monks, do you see that monk coming, ugly, unsightly, deformed, despised among the monks? Yes, Venerable Sir. That monk is of great psychic power and might. It is not easy to find an attainment which that monk has not already attained. And he is one who, by realizing it for himself, with direct knowledge, in this very life, enters and dwells in that unsurpassed goal of the holy life, for the sake of which clansmen rightly go forth from the household life into homelessness. This is what the Blessed One said. And he further said, Geese, herons and peacocks, elephants and spotted deer, all are frightened of the lion, regardless of their body size. In the same way among human beings, the small one endowed with wisdom, he is the one that is truly great, not the fool with a well-built body. The end of the sutta. So here the Buddha is saying, don't judge monk from his outside looks. So this monk, Lakuntaka Bhadia, is ugly looking form, and yet he is a great arahant with great psychic power. So that's why when you look at suttas like this, or like in the case of Angulimala, who killed so many people yet could attain arahanthood, then you realize actually all this talk about paramis is not valid. You don't need paramis. Paramis are perfections of character, where they stated that the Buddha cultivated these paramis over a long period of time. 4 Asankhya Kappas and 100 Mahakappas, meaning an eternity of time to perfect himself before he could become enlightened. But you find a case like this, even though this person, if you look at his ugly body, you think that he doesn't have much parami. Or if you look at Angulimala, he killed hundreds of people, then definitely he doesn't have much parami. And yet they could become enlightened because they strove very hard, and we have the Dhamma to guide them. So that's why they become enlightened, not because of parami, but because of practicing the right path, namely the Noble Eightfold Path. 21.8 at Savatthi. Then the Venerable Nanda, the Blessed One's maternal cousin, put on well-pressed and well-ironed robes, painted his eyes, took a glazed bowl, and approached the Blessed One. Having paid homage to the Blessed One, he sat down to one side. And the Blessed One said to him, Nanda, this is not proper for you, clansman who has gone forth out of faith from the household life into homelessness, that you wear well-pressed and well-ironed robes, paint your eyes, and carry a glazed bowl. This is proper for you, Nanda, a clansman who has gone forth out of faith from the household life into homelessness, that you be a forest dweller, an alms food eater, a rag robes wearer, and that you dwell indifferent to sensual pleasures. This is what the Blessed One said, and he further said, When shall I see Nanda as a forest dweller, wearing robes stitched from rags, subsisting on the scraps of strangers, indifferent towards sensual pleasures? Then some time later, the Venerable Nanda became a forest dweller, an alms food eater, a rank robes wearer, and he dwelt indifferent to sensual pleasures. That's the end of the sutta. So you see, this Nanda was the sometimes you say it's the half brother of the Buddha. It's actually the cousin, because Nanda was supposed to be the son of Mahapajapati. The Buddha's mother passed away 7 days after giving birth to the Buddha. And then the sister, the mother's sister, was Mahapajapati. She looked after the Buddha as though her own son. At the same time, she gave birth to Nanda. So in a way they grew up together. So after the Buddha became enlightened, Buddha managed to persuade Nanda to renounce. But Nanda was not very keen to renounce, to become a monk. He was engaged to a beautiful girl, supposed to get married. And then the Buddha led him to the forest and ordained him. So because he was not eager to become a monk, he was still very worldly. His robes also he will iron and put painted his eyes. This thing, like some monks nowadays. But because he mixed with ascetic monks slowly, and the Buddha criticized him, so he felt ashamed. Then he changed his ways, became an ascetic monk, and also realized enlightenment. So actually, a lot of people, in a way, are like that. They come into monkhood with a lot of worldly habits, and very delicate. There are some people come and wear the robe, very delicate, very sissy like that. But over the years, if they live in the right environment, like in a forest monastery, they have to climb up the hill to clean the water source. They have to do all kinds of work, repairing the water pipe, sweeping the floor, and all that. And then years later, they become tough. So that's the sutta. 21.9 Asavati. Then the Venerable Tissa, the Blessed One's paternal cousin, approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him and sat down to one side, miserable, sorrowful, with tears streaming down. Then the Blessed One said to him, Tissa, why are you sitting there, miserable, sorrowful, with tears streaming down? Because, Venerable Sir, the monks have attacked me on all sides with sharp words. And the Buddha said, that, Tissa, is because you admonish others, but cannot bear being admonished yourself. Tissa, this is not proper for you, a clansman who has gone forth out of faith from the household life into homelessness, that you admonish others, but cannot accept admonition in return. This is proper for you, Tissa, a clansman who has gone forth out of faith from the household life into homelessness, that you admonish others and accept admonishment in return. This is what the Blessed One said. Having said this, the Fortunate One, the teacher, further said, why are you angry? Don't be angry. Non-anger is better for you, Tissa. It is to remove anger, conceit and scorn that the holy life is lived, Tissa. It's the end of the sutta. So you see, this Tissa, he like to criticize others. It's very easy to see other people's fault. So he criticized others. But when other people saw his fault and they criticized him, he was not happy, could not take it. So the Buddha said, the holy life is lived to remove anger, conceit and scorn. So as we progress in the holy life, slowly our anger should reduce, our ego should reduce. If people practice the wrong way, you find the ego increase. They think they have some attainment. Instead of being more humble, they become more arrogant. So also the temper don't go down. So if you are practicing the right way, definitely your ego and your temper should go down. So the Buddha advised him, if you advise others, you should accept advice from other people also. So we live the holy life to cut our ego. So it is proper that we accept criticism whenever we think it's coming from somebody who is sincere. So we stop here tonight. Question? How to cultivate radiation of loving kindness by the mind is stated in the sutta that first you have to develop the first jhana. After you develop jhana, then your mind is strong. Then only you can radiate loving kindness. That is the way taught in the suttas. But a lot of people, they don't have the ability to attain jhana, so they just try to show their loving kindness to others. And you can do this in two ways. One is through your body language, the other is through your verbal language. So if you are kind to others, you practice loving kindness to others, you show it through your body action. When somebody come, you stand up or something, or you invite them to take a seat or something, and then you show it through your verbal language. You speak kind words to people, you don't shout at people, all this, so people can sense that you have loving kindness. So that is the initial part, but the higher, more advanced part is to be able to make your mind so strong that you can radiate it and other beings can know. I think that won't help so much, because when you chant that one, firstly, you got to know what you're chanting, because these spirits, these devas and ghosts, they can read your mind. So if you chant something that you don't understand, it's not much point. You have to know what you're chanting, then they read your mind, and they know what you are trying to say. So if some of them, when they listen to the chanting and they understand what you are saying, then they may react positively. But some of them, if they are too fierce, then words will not help. They may still attack you or something. It depends on the person. I guess generally it does help. It does help if you repeat this, then you think about it, then you try to practice it more. It's just like you're reminding yourself. Then you show through your body language and your verbal language to others that you have metta. No. But what is true is that just now you talk about boundless metta. That is a very advanced stage. If you can have boundless metta, that means you are able to radiate metta boundless, and then you have achieved the arupa jhana state. But most people even if you don't achieve that, if you are able to radiate, that means you have some jhana. And if you have some jhana, according to the suttas, you are no more. You don't. You have overcome the passions. And when you say passions, generally refer to anger and lust. So if a person has attained jhana, these two go down to considerably. Your lust and your anger will go down considerably, but not the ego. Not the ego. The ego has to be eliminated by wisdom, by understanding the Dhamma, which is the vipassana in the Buddha's teachings. Vipassana is contemplation of the Dhamma. After hearing the Dhamma or reading the Dhamma, then you contemplate and you understand, then you have wisdom. The depth of wisdom also depending on your jhana. If you have more samadhi, then you have deeper wisdom. If you don't have samadhi, you don't have concentration, then you have shallow wisdom. So like in the case of Devadatta, he had strong jhana, but the ego was still very strong. So he had evil desires. Anagamin has overcome lust. But Anagamin, because he has come to that stage which is quite advanced, has almost finished his work, in Anagamin. So his selfishness is very small because he has only 5 higher fetters remaining, and that 5 higher fetters are attachment to the form realm, attachment to the formless existence, formless rebirth, and then ignorance, and then conceit and restlessness. So this conceit is that I am, I exist. So it's not that strong selfishness. Just a minute pinch of ego. Yes, that's why effort is important. Mm. There are some people who do charity, but they are very greedy for merit. So like they're very selective who they give their charity to. On the other hand, there are some people who are really generous. They help everybody that they can. My old devotee in Penang, Tao Yi, she supports any monk that comes to her house. She doesn't pick and choose, and doesn't criticize monks like some people. They're very selective who they give dana to, and they don't like a particular monk. They'll talk bad about the monk and all that. It's not a good practice. Oh, because I think metta is, you can say, loving kindness is the root to a lot of wholesome actions. If you have metta, then you have charity, generosity in your heart. You want to help others. And also, if you have metta, loving kindness, you don't want to harm others. So you don't want to kill, you don't want to steal, you don't want to break up people's families by committing adultery, you don't want to lie and cheat people. So metta is the root of a lot of wholesome actions and conduct. That's why metta, loving kindness, is so important. Yes. Yes. If you have strong jhana, then you can radiate. It's not easy to radiate. It's almost like a kind of psychic power. Because if you are able to radiate out metta, then all beings around can feel your metta. Just like when I was young, I was in a Catholic school. They used to give me, the Christian brothers used to give me holy pictures. Sometimes you see this saint with birds on his shoulder and on his head, and the deer comes to him, and animals come to him because they can feel his love. So all beings want to come to you because they know you cannot harm them. If you have that kind of ability to radiate loving kindness, then you can affect the area around you. The whole area around you will be very peaceful. And those beings with very disturbed minds, they won't be able to come near, because when they come near, they feel like it's the peaceful vibrations are just like burning them. They said in the suttas that wherever an arahant dwells, that place is very peaceful. So only arahants, maybe you have anagamins around because their mind, they have attained the 4 jhanas. Then even anagamins, the place will be peaceful. So you find a place which is you have a lot of violence, a lot of killing and all that. It shows there are no holy men around. Maybe most of them are in the north. Okay, shall we end here?